Yo, what's happening, mi gente? This is Brown, one of the hosts of Raza Stan, and this is,
Flow.
and welcome to another episode of Raza Stan Podcast. You just tuned in to episode number cinco, number 5, and today we're going to focus on the topic of policing in the barrios and how has it been for the Raza dealing with police historically and currently. How do we see police in the barrio? And the difference is, I mean, we're throwing some historical facts and all that stuff, but yeah, stay tuned into this episode. It's gonna be a dope one.
That's right. So I think for a lot of us, it's a very touchy subject because, uh, I'm pretty sure that at least one time in your life you've been either, stopped by police or uh, been affected by, police brutality or whatever you want to call it. Uh, so for me, I really wanted to cover this because there's a lot of narratives and there's a lot of anecdotes, right,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to policing, and you know, uh, not that they're not based on facts, but there's also the evidence and the statistics that I love to get into. Obviously, and that's my thing, Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to compare and contrast the both of them, how they how they play out, right? How they compare, right? So, like you mentioned, right, we're going to be covering the history of policing. We're going to be covering policing today, uh, and violent crime in our neighborhoods, and also gun control. That's a huge thing that we're dealing with today in a lot of our states, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, just to go into straight into to the history of policing, I mean, I think it's no secret that once again our community has been victimized by police, historically, right? That's not a secret. I mean, I think there's plenty of evidence to state that, right? And one of the first incidents in regards to that is the 1918 Puerto massacre of 15 men and boys, right? They were killed execution style for allegedly stealing cattle in Puerto, Texas, right? So the Texas Rangers, who are actually also a baseball team, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
they were ruthless when it came to policing Mexicans, and mainly and really in Texas, right? So, but that is an example of policing, right? How it affected our people, how they, took it up. And it was almost like vigilantes. They took it up on their own hands and just, they didn't even try them, right? They killed them execution style, bro. They thought that they had, um, stolen some cattle, and then they took it upon themselves to just kill these people, and they went into the neighborhood and pulled them out and just killed them, bro. Like, uh, and this is not something that's well known. I mean, unless you really look into it, right? I don't really even know about this until recently.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, 1945, you got the Suzu Rights, where police arrested hundreds of Chicano and Chicana youth. Um, and ironically, when you study that, uh, the Suitsuders, right, were the ones who were being attacked by the sailors and other vigilantes. And at the end of the day, the ones who were arrested were the Suitsuders, were the Pachucos, right, because they were seen as traitors or not being American enough because they were not assimilating. So some of them even, would say that they were part of the Nazis, or or with the other side, right? So that was a justification for arresting them or just treating them badly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in the 1970s, you had the Chicano Moratorium. So this was when people went onto the streets here in LA to protest, right, the Vietnam War. And something happened where there was some kind of robbery at a liquor store that sparked some kind of a riot, and 3 people were killed, including Ruben Salazar, right, who was a
Mm-hmm.
journalist, a Mexican journalist, right, at the time, and he was shot in the head, I believe with a projectile. I believe that he was inside a bar, so the cop went in and shot
Mm-hmm.
him, and pretty much got away with it. And then you probably know more about this. The 1973, the Latino Grape strike, people were shot
Mhm.
at and arrested to try to break the strikes and the what do you call it, the huelgas, right, that you had up there.
Mhm.
So these are just some incidences, right? These are just some examples of police brutality with our community,
Yeah.
and how it's affected us historically, right? So what are your thoughts on
Yeah.
that, or if you wanted to expand more on one of these, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's countless of stories, bro. That go. There's lists and lists, countless of lists that of things that police have done to the to raza. You know what I mean? I mean, let's not forget the walkouts. What they did to the
Yes,
students. You know what I mean?
yes,
Like that was fucking horrific. I mean, damn. I mean, something like that would have happened to the white schools, the white high schools, man. There'll be fucking legislation, fucking bills passed, or some shit would have been done. You know what I mean? If it would have been to the white kids, but altogether, bro, we as Raza have not had a good experience with police, bro. Let's not forget that there was those stories that police were involved with lynching Mexicanos
yes,
también. And
yep,
what you mentioned that,
yeah,
with the Rangers and
yeah,
over there in Texas and stuff, that's mainly where they were lynching Mexicanos.
yeah,
So
yeah.
let's not
Like,
forget that.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like we talked about last week, there was I think 547 lynchings and that
Mm-hmm.
were documented, but
Documented,
they
yeah.
speculate that it was probably more close to 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's not something that's well known. Usually, when you think about lynchings, you think about black people being lynched, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
but we were also victims of that in the past, right? So obviously, before we get into policing today, I wanted to bring anecdotes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Personal stories, as you probably have a lot, just like myself, right? I remember one of my earliest, uh, you know, I guess involvement or whatever with police. I must have been like, I was in elementary for sure. I'm probably third grade.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was with my mom, and uh, my mom either made a wrong turn or somebody made a wrong turn, right? But she got stopped by the cops, and I remember uh, he pulled her over. Obviously, my mom, you know, they don't know how to speak enough English to communicate with the cop, so I was put the translator at a very young age, and
Mm.
it was very uncomfortable for me to do that because one, I'm dealing with a cop who obviously there's a power dynamic, and two, I didn't really know what to say to the cop because my mom kept saying, why did he stop me? Like what did I do wrong? And I remember, asking the cop, she wants to know why you stopped her, and he was like, I can't hear you. He kept saying it over and over. I must have told him like 3, 4 times, and I don't know if he did or not. Maybe it was the traffic. Maybe I wasn't speaking loud enough, probably. But that was one of my earliest memories with police. And then obviously in my teens, I used to get pulled over a lot or just stopped by the cops. Uh, there was one incident where we were hanging out in the corner, just being youngsters and just hanging out, and there was a bunch of taggings down the neighborhood, and then it was I guess you can call them rivals, right, of ours or whatever, and we knew who had done it, right, but like they say, you don't see anything, you don't say anything, right.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cops came up to us, and they were like, hey, so do you guys know anything about those taggings? And we're like, no, we don't know shit. Like that's not we don't know who it is. We knew who it was, but uh, you weren't gonna say anything. And then I remember my brother, at the time he had just started going to college, and he's like, I don't understand why you're asking us this. We I go to college. I mean, he's like, and the guy was like, I didn't give a shit. I didn't ask you that. I'm asking you like who did the taggings, right? So, uh, and then the last time I really got harassed by the cops, I want to say was 2000, 2008, right? And at the time, I was trying to change, like the way I looked, because before that, I would attribute it to, well, it's because of the I look bald or I have
Mm.
baggy attire or whatever, right? Uh, and I remember this time around, I was walking with my brother again, the same guy who had gotten pulled over or had gotten stopped. Sorry, was being talked to in a derogatory way. Um, they pulled. It was like three cops who came up to us and right away get off the car and said, you know, like, where are you guys going? Where you from? Blah blah blah. Right. And at this point, I'm already used to it. I've been, you know, stopped by cops multiple times, so I knew how to act. Basically, right? I knew what to expect. But this time around, the guy was being really, like, really rude. I mean, he was just being really disrespectful, just, you know, just being very aggressive with me, right? But again, just at this time, I'm already in my third year in college. I understand what's going on, so I didn't give him any lip. I was like, okay, you know, whatever. You know, I didn't do shit. I know I didn't do anything. So
Mhm.
um, he tells me to put my hands behind my back. They slam my brother towards the car, right? Just not. You were treated pretty poorly, obviously, right? But
Yeah.
what was funny was that once another car came over, another cop car came over, the guy was like, "Oh, it's not them. You know, we got the wrong guys." And as soon as
Hmm.
they said that, they were like, "Oh, we're sorry." You know, like their demeanor changed. They started talking to us like human
They're your
beings, basically,
friends.
right? Yeah, basically, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, "Do you want to know why you got pulled over?" Or like, or why you got stopped? We're like, "No, we don't give a shit. Just let us go." I mean, but and that was on our way to an art show too. We were gonna go to an art show down the street. Uh, but I mean, that definitely shaped the way I saw cops. You know, for a very long time, growing up,
Mm.
uh, especially in my neighborhood, it was very common to see it all the time. You know, so I don't know if you have any stories about that.
Yeah, man. Oh, stories with cops, man. I have quite some few, man. This is why a lot of people say, you know, FTP and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Uh, because it's just but I mean some of the times it's us that we have the kind of like the fault at times. And
Mm,
veces nos pasamos de verga that we fucking do stupid shit and like it's like they start seeing that all our people are the way that we're portraying them to be. You know what I mean?
I
But
get you.
basically, like the experiences, man, like that's why I want to kind of explain a little bit of the covers that I did for the episode.
Yes.
Like one was a guy basically offering flowers to the police, like the group of police officers right there, and that kind of I wanted to give that inside meaning of like that our people are like you know peaceful people, and historically we're peaceful people, but like society has made us into this beast, into this let's rebel against the system type of people. You know what I mean? We're kind of standing up for ourselves, and like we're so a lot of us are misguided, so we end up doing things that I mean, like we end up selling drugs and doing whatever because we have to survive. You know what I mean? So once we fall into that trap that we do whatever it takes, that's when you get into the radar of police and shit. You know what I mean? But
Mm,
it's not that we're just fucked up people and that's all we like doing. Is that they put us in a predicament that we have to basically fight to get out of that place, out of that, you know what I mean? That place
yeah.
of
Yeah.
poverty or whatever. But anyway, so that was one of the covers that I wanted to portray, that we're peaceful people, and it's just like they beat us down so much that we're gonna rebel, we're gonna fight against the system. The other one was the see no evil, hear no evil, say no
Yeah.
evil.
I saw that.
Yeah, that's the one, like the because I see that cops, they will back up their fellow officer, even
Okay.
even if they know 100% that a certain person is innocent. They don't give a fuck if it has to do that either their fellow officers going down or that dude's going down. They're gonna pick their officer, whether that person is innocent or not. And
Mm,
that to me sounds like a fucking besides corruption, that sounds like a gang all in itself.
okay.
And
Yeah.
to kind of clarify that, I came to that thinking of cops being a gang, that I never really was like, I never claimed a sur or norte, but I kind of, they seen me more of a sureño,
Mm,
because I guess because I used to shave my head and stuff like that. But one time I got pulled over by a cop, and he's all like, "What's up? What do you claim?"
oh shit.
And I'm all like, "Really? You're
That was
gonna
bad, huh?
you're fucking banging on me, and you're a cop? You're banging on me, dude? Like, first of all, I don't claim shit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And second of all, I'll bang your fucking mother."
Oh.
And he got pissed, bro. He's
Wait,
all
you
like,
told him that
"All
shit?
I told him that shit, and he
Oh
got pissed.
man.
And then he's like, all right, what's up? You're a scrap or what? You're a scrap? And that's the terms that norteños
Yeah, yeah,
use
yep.
to, bang on sureños. And I'm all like, fuck that fool. Talking about banging up, I'll bang your sister and your mother. And he fucking took me in, bro. Took me in, and he fucking he basically was saying he made up this whole narrative that I was fucking like, you know what I mean? That I was like, trying to tag up shit on the walls and shit like that. I'm all like, you know what? You have no evidence, fool. You have no evidence.
Yeah.
And they dropped that shit. I was like, nah, fuck these fools. And
Uh,
that's what I'm saying. Like that right there just shows that. And there's many other stories that people have told me that actually, like, people that are, have associates within gangs, they become cops, and then they kind of like help out the gangs and shit with whatever, you know what I mean? They kind of like give them like a, you know what I mean? They give them slides or whatever, and
that's
I'm
true.
like, see, and that's the fucked up part, bro. That a lot of the cops become cops for all the wrong reasons.
Mm.
For all the wrong reasons, bro. And that's another thing why I wanted to put that see no evil, hear no evil, say no evil, because they don't say the appropriate things as a real officer should. A real officer, you know what I mean? They protect, they make sure that no one's, you know what I mean? The people, and the thing is, bro, like, we as humans, with logic, uh, we are able to detect, you know what I mean, certain things pretty obviously. Like, it's pretty obvious to how to detect certain things. Basically, like, if someone's trying to lie to you or whatever, certain people, like, we all have radars and shit.
Yeah.
And some of the officers don't. It seems like they act like the stupid person. Like, you know what I mean? Even though it's obviously whatever they're trying to get, it's obviously right in front of them. They act like they don't know, just to whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish. Whether it is their quota they're trying to fulfill, whether it is whatever. Maybe they're fucking, someone's trying to pressure them to get a certain amount of arrests or something. So they're under pressure. They don't know, so they're just like, fuck it, I don't care. You know what I mean? So they just pull over whoever, un viejito and shit, just to get their quota. You know what I mean? And that's how fucked up it is, bro. Like, they literally do that crap, bro. And I've seen it. I've heard many stories of them just pulling over people, and they have no reason to, and they just end up like dropping the case because they
No
find out that
evidence.
there's no fucking reason to.
Yeah.
There's no evidence. There's nothing. They're just like made up fucking narratives and shit. And it's all. Not only is it a waste of taxpayer money, it's just a waste of fucking a legit honorable position that someone that actually gives a fuck could have taken. You know what I
Mm.
mean? As opposed to just someone that wants a fucking check and doesn't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. So you said a lot of shit there that I'm trying to process it, and I think what stood out to me was that altercation you had with the cop, where he came at you fucking with attitude, right? I mean, he said, like, so where you from, whatever, right? So off the bat, you were like, man, fuck this dude. Like, so you, I guess, for lack of a better word, you kind of instigated the situation, or like
Yeah.
you could have, like, and again, this is hard for a lot of people because I understand. I mean, like, when somebody comes at you that way, most of the time you're not gonna be like, well, yeah, whatever, like, um, but I think for me, what made it easier to do that, even when I was, like, because I was like you, I never banged either myself, but I had family that did bang, and I had, I was around a neighborhood where people were banging and shit. So um, the culture, that it was definitely something that was around me, and it's something that I embraced. Uh, but I think what made it easier for me to not give lip to the cops was my dad. My dad was always like, if you get pulled over, just have your hands in front of the wheel, and it's that, conversation that they say that, that brown and black folks have to have with their kids, and
Mm.
why does it have to happen, right? Uh, and there's so many reasons why we're going to get into more in a minute. But that for me was really helpful because even when I was talked to in a fucked up way, I never, aside from the time where I got cuffed, I never got fucking, taken in for anything. I never got arrested. I never got, beat up or anything and shit, But I've seen stories and I've heard stories about people who do, you know, get treated in that way. And a lot of the times, I mean, and again, I'm not going to say that this happens all the time, but a lot of the times it happens when people are, giving the cops slip. And like you said earlier, you said sometimes, we get into some fucked up shit and that brings about the cops, right? There was this one time where one of my uncles was, just doing some stupid shit. And I don't know if that was related to this event, but I must have been in middle school. Somebody shot my house, right? The bullet went inside my room. I didn't even know it was a bullet until the next day because that shit was so loud, bro. It sounded like a fucking rocket blew up in my fucking house. Like,
Hmm.
and it was like at 5 in the morning. And then I didn't even find out until the next day because I had a little basketball hoop and the hoop was behind the door. I opened the door and it was a big ass hole like this.
Oh shit.
That shit was like a fucking AK, bro. Like it was a fucking straight, and the shells were still outside, right? So we called the cops and these motherfuckers didn't show up till like midnight the next day. And they were like, "Oh, this looks like somebody did it from from inside the house." I was like, "Well, why the fuck would we do that?" And they were like, "Oh, are you guys affiliated? Do you guys know somebody? Like whatever, So, uh, never really trusted the cops because of that. You know what I mean? Like growing up, like I said, um, but and I noticed you said this last time during the last episode when you talked about we are a peaceful people, and I think when I think of that, I think about the immigrant, right? I think for the most part, our parents or just our grandparents, whatever, they don't like getting into shit. They don't like to
Mm.
fight. I think it's the Chicanos and Chicanas that usually when we do get into fights, it's mainly us because we're born on this side of the border, and like you said in the last episode, a lot of the shit, a lot of the hate that you learned was on this side of the border. So you carry that with you. So anytime a cop gives you lip or whatever, you feel disrespected, you feel the need to fight back, and rightfully so. I would say that your feelings are justified, and I understand why. But I think just from a power dynamic perspective, you have to think about, okay, am I going to win this in
Hmm.
an argument? Like you said, that motherfucker took you to wherever he took you to, made up a whole story about it. I mean, if you probably had a record, you
That's
probably
that's true.
you would have gotten in. They would have been like, oh, okay, well, or
Hmm.
if you were on probation, right? So so I think uh, that is what affects a lot of us, right? And I think also when it comes to, I've heard this argument too that when it comes to sentencing, right? People of color, we usually get harsher sentences, and it's because of that. It's because we have records, right? Compared to a white guy, right? That or somebody who doesn't have a record, that comes into play, right? As to why we get treated in a certain way, right? Uh, but again, man, those are my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
So as we transition to policing today, right, in 2019, right, I wanted to use my city, LA, because it probably is, if not, uh, you know, one of the cities that has the highest Latino population, right? Not only with the demographics, but just with the citizens, but the cops. 49% of our cops are Latino, bro, right? And in 2019, that's what it says, right? So in 2021, right now, right, Latinos make up 17% of police-related deaths, right? So when it comes to deaths, we make up 17%. Uh, 9% of those deaths are because we had a weapon, right? Or somebody had a weapon. However, only 1%, right, of those deaths, the victims were not armed, right? And a lot of times we hear the narrative that cops are just fucking killing motherfuckers, like they're hunting them, like it ain't no thing, right? But if you look at the data, that's not true, right? The data does not support that, does not confirm that,
Hmm.
uh, right? And as a matter of fact, uh, you know, shootings with LAPD, right, hit a 30-year low. Uh, you know, going back to 30 years ago, it's gotten better when it comes to LAPD related shootings, right? there was 115 shootings in 1990. There was only 25 shootings in 2019. So the narratives are there, but a lot of the times, or as we're seeing now with the data, right, it doesn't always add up.
Mhm.
So not to say that again that these anecdotes are not real, but it's very complex when it comes to these things, right? And you kind of mentioned it. You said, you know, again, your story kind of confirms that. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Damn. I mean, numbers don't lie, bro. You
Right?
know? So like that's what I'm saying, you know what I mean? Like, and I'll say it again, bro, because I really do believe this, bro, that we're not who they portray us to be, bro. Even quote unquote cholos, bro, for the most part, yeah, I mean, they they do, and I'll include myself, bro, because I was in the mix and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we did what we did. We as as a collective, I guess, to continue to do as we do because it's a lot of factors. Like it can be family, a family thing that continues from generation to generation. So it's like a tradition almost,
Mhm.
as fucked
Yeah,
up as that sounds, but
yeah.
it could be a tradition. It could be the fact that looking for guidance, many factors basically, but all these all these factors kind of point back to the system not working for us, the system failing us. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. That's why you don't see many. I mean, there are white gangs and shit, but like
Yeah.
in California, not really. You know what I mean? If anything, there's like neo-Nazi type of shit, but very minimal. You know what I mean? Very minimal here and there, scattered and shit. But overall, the system favors white America, as I guess in a way as it should, since this pretty much, I mean, America has turned into a mostly white, you know, uh way of looking at things. You know what I mean? It's more of a, like, even I don't know if you notice certain people, that certain Latinos that start even, they kind of mimic the way white people talk, in the way that kind of like,
Openness.
even like the yeah, like even the sounds, like, how some white people, like, they kind of make that kind of mumble ass like way of, I don't know, bro, like, just
The
like
way,
when they speak, it's like, yeah, it's just, yeah, it's just pronunciations and just the way that they try to talk like that.
mm,
So basically we're turning more, assimilating more in that manner, you know what I mean? And because it's just getting to the point that it's becoming this trend almost, that we need to assimilate, and it's okay to be, I don't know, bro, if I'm explaining it right, bro. It's just like
I hear you.
I see it, and I mean, I don't mind it. It's just the fact that something inside of me says, like, it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right for a Latino to be talking like that.
Mm.
Just because they believe that it's like the smarter way of talking, but they're basically kind of forcing themselves to talk that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna force yourself to talk a certain way, just because it makes you sound more fitting, more
Yeah.
like the rest of them, and because you don't want to you don't want to stand out, so you don't want to act like yourself, you don't want to talk like yourself, you want to mimic the ones that are around you because you want to be just like them, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of destroys our identity. That kind of, you know what I mean? So it's like,
Interesting.
with going back to the whole thing with like the system failing us, it's it's kind of it kind of goes back and forth, bro. Because like I mentioned before in the other episodes, that my in-laws father, my mother-in-law's father, he even changed his name just to assimilate, just because he didn't want to stand out, just so that police can, and police still fucking fuck with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I mean, he was a pachuco,
Mm.
so it's like, you know I don't know. It's, you know what I mean? So it's like, you can't fucking you can't have the whole cake. You know what I mean? It's either you're this side, you're that side. You can't be in the middle. Like, this, how is that possible? Because externally they're gonna see you as a Latino anyway, no matter how you make changes of your name, of your voice, of your whatever. You know what I mean? They're gonna look at you, as a Latino, regardless, at the end of the day.
All right. So I think what you're saying is that And it's funny because we had the conversation about assimilation last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do we need it to advance? And I think I came to the conclusion that we do because, like you're saying right now, is that um, if we don't, we have a lot harder time. We deal with more problems when we don't do that, right? And where I don't agree with you is when you talked about how um, if you speak a certain way or if you change. I understand what you're saying. Like it almost feels like it goes back to that question of what we had earlier in the first episode is if you change if you change certain things about you, does that not make you raza anymore, right?
That yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And for a long time, I had that mindset too because you know what does it mean to be Chicano? We talked about that, right? For me, it was the Dickies, it was the Chucks,
Mm,
it was pretty much the Cholo culture. To me, that was being Chicano. That was being a genuine Chicano, right? But
mm,
as I came of age and I got older, I feel like that is part of it. You can still carry yourself in that way. But I feel like Chicano is one of those terms that again is it's an umbrella term, and you can it includes a lot more people than you would think, right? You have the student Chicano, you have the Cholo Chicano, you have the I don't know the whatever, right? You have,
yeah.
and I think you and I kind of exemplify that because even though both of us grew up in a very similar situation, you know, uh, I remember when I was working at Target at one point, I was already going to college. In that first year in college, I felt that transition right away because people began telling me, "Hey, dude, like you sound different. You don't speak the way you used to speak." Like, and I don't know if I was doing it consciously or if I was just because I was hanging out with more college kids or whatever. But I obviously I did change a lot. And I remember there was this one girl that I used to hang out with, and she was like, "Bro, you're whitewashed," and I was like, "What? Like, what do you mean?" She's like, "Yeah, just a lot of the words you use, I don't understand them, so I feel like you're white."
Oh, vocabulary. Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, "Well, I'm just picking up more words, so it just it becomes natural." I think I understand what you're saying that there is people who will use words just to impress, you know, the white man or just to impress other people or even to put other people down, you know. Uh for example, if I were to go to the hood and just fucking start using all these fucking words and knowing people are not going to understand them, that would be fucking stupid, you know. I think
Mm,
I think I've gotten to a place where I can code switch, where I can, speak quote unquote academically, but I can also speak hood. You know what I mean? I can still like I can talk to. I'm relatable in that way, right?
mm-hmm.
And I think if you're able to do that, for me at least, right? You still and you still have those core beliefs. I think you're still down with Rasa, right? You still want to help them
Mm,
out, uh, and and even when it comes to the whole accent thing, I think, for example, right, our kids, right? They're gonna grow up differently. They're gonna grow up differently than us. They
mm,
might sound differently than us because we're first generation Americans. They're gonna be second gen, right? In your case, like your father-in-law, right? You said he's Puerto Rican, right?
no, no, no. That he's Chicano.
He's
No,
Chicano. Okay, all right,
my father-in-law Chicano is Puerto Rican. Yeah, my
okay,
my mother-in-law she's from East LA.
okay, all right. So I'm sure you notice the difference, right? Like when the way they speak and stuff. So and then for him too, like growing up in that time, right? If he was a Zuzu, bro, like um, I mean, it was hard to speak Spanish back in the day. If you spoke it, you got your ass kicked. So it
Mm-hmm.
was like a survival mechanism. No, you don't do that, right? Literally in school, you got your fucking ass kicked by the teachers if you spoke Spanish, right? So I don't blame people for doing that, you know. Uh, but the difference between someone like that and a coconut, right? Is that a coconut will, again, will reject their culture. They'll try everything possible not to
Mm,
be that. And like we talked about earlier, right? What makes you
mm-hmm.
do that? Why would you even
Mm,
get to that level? And it's because probably you're dealing with a lot of shit, right? So
Yeah.
underneath, there's a lot of problems, right?
Hmm.
So, um, yeah, man, like I get why people do it, uh, but unless somebody's saying, "No, no, fuck raza," or I'm not gonna use that, I'm not gonna be down with these people. I'm like, I'm this and that. Then, then I would say, okay, well, this foot ain't down, or she ain't down. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But I want to be very careful when it comes to, okay, well, because you sound this way, or because you use these words, or because you don't dress a certain way, you ain't raza, because that's going to be divisive. And you know, I think our experiences are different based on where we grew up. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And that's true what you said right there, bro. It's very like it divides. It
Yeah,
divides that whole way of and cops see it, bro.
for
Cops
sure.
see the division between the raza, you know what I mean? And they take advantage of it. They take advantage of it like in Salinas, cops patrol more on the east side, and that's
Of
where the
course,
raza stays at.
of course.
And like I've seen that shit. Like I've driven around town, and it's like there's hardly any cop any other place besides the east side. They're fucking patrolling like hardcore. They have two police stations in the east side, one in the north side. Uh, and it's crazy, bro. It's fucking crazy how it's no coincidence. They set up shop where they're gonna patrol the most of the time.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because it's predominating the raza in the area, or just because? I mean, how? Why would you think there would be more policing in that area?
I mean, it's the setup, bro. Like I don't want to seem like one of those dudes. It's the man, the man is fucking those up. But I mean, really looking at everything, you know what I mean? Looking at the number of liquor stores in a certain area, the number of like just man overall crime, overall less opportunity, overall. I guess you could say I don't want to say it, but I mean it's true. More ignorance, when there's more ignorance, there's more chances of fucking up, and cops want to catch you fucking up. You know what I mean? Uh, yeah, bro. I mean, like Latinos, bro, Mexicanos, we fuck it up. Like, man, we fuck it up so much that we start blasting our fucking music and shit with with fucking I mean, bro, that's just it's stereotypical of us, bro.
Yeah,
We encourage that stereotype on ourselves, bro. We fucking continue that shit. Like we come on, that's like any white person knows that they don't want to move next to a Mexican because they start putting their fucking banda or
yeah,
ranchera music.
yeah,
I mean, it's stereotypically we fucking do it. We continue it. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
and that's why they have that narrative about us. That's why they think that we're gonna cause some shit. We're gonna, you know what I mean? It's more liability when we're around. You know what I mean?
I hear you. And it's interesting how you went from, like you mentioned the liquor stores, you mentioned I mean, because I agree with you. There's definitely more policing in the barrios, right? And that's why, you know, hence the title "Policing in the Barrios," because, uh, and even the way we get police is totally different than the way somebody in a white neighborhood gets police, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think what you mentioned was one of the words you mentioned was crime, right? You
Mm-hmm.
mentioned crime in the barrios, right? So in 2016, we made up anywhere from 16 to 18% of the total U.S. population, right? So we're that's how much we have here in the U.S. However, we committed 23% of violent crimes, right? So we make more crimes up than our total population, if that makes any sense. And when I mean by violent
Oh
crimes,
shit.
yeah, we're talking about murder, assault, rape, right? I'm not talking about robbing homie for a fucking you know just jacking him for his car and shit. Now I'm talking about like killing people, like serious shit, right? That's gonna let you in jail and shit. So we committed 23% of violent crimes out of the entire nation, right? You want to compare it to whites? I think they were somewhere in the 20s too, and then blacks was 50% of all violent crime, right?
Shit, white people get in their 20% when they fucking shoot up a school right there
Yeah,
and then.
yeah, right,
For that same fucking
yeah,
day.
right. So you mentioned how like we have crime in our neighborhood, right? Uh, and that plays a huge role as to why. we get police the way we get police, right? And it's pretty obvious that we get profiled based on how we look, right?
Mm.
Uh, but I think the difference between us and, let's say, black folks or maybe even white folks is that we can kind of get out of it in the sense that, for example, right, I can grow my hair out like I have now, right? I mean, like, and I'm probably not gonna get pulled over. Now I can go tomorrow and shave my head, throw in a pair of Dickies and put a white tee,
Mhm.
and I'm probably gonna get stopped, right? So I kind of have, in a sense, I kind of have control if I'm gonna get profiled, right? Not
Mhm.
always, I mean, but when it comes to black folks, I don't think they have that privilege because for the most part, unless they're probably dressed up like in a nice suit or whatever. For the most part, if they have you know anything baggy or whatever, anything gang attire, they're probably going to get pulled over too. You know what I mean, or just get stopped. So the profiling is definitely there, and there's no denying that, right? But again, going back to what we talked about earlier and your example is how we deal with that, right? How we deal with the stops, how we deal with the profiling, right? If we're gonna fucking go at it with every single cop that pulls us over, it's just not gonna end up good for us, right?
I'm
And you can
surprised I didn't get my ass fucking whooped like
for real,
bad.
for
I'm
real,
serious. Like I would talk so
yeah,
much shit to cops, bro.
exactly,
So much shit to cops. Man, it's not even funny.
right. So and in hindsight, right now that I'm older, I mean, and
Mm.
now that I have a family, it's like, thank God I never fucking did that shit. Otherwise, I would have had a record, right? Uh, you got pretty lucky too in the sense that you never got your ass kicked,
Mhm.
like you said, but that ultimately is what determines whether you're gonna go to jail or in some cases even die, right? Uh, but even then, I mean, again, the stats say that if you're unarmed, only 1% of us gets killed, right? Compared to, I
Mhm.
don't know if you knew, but whites make up the most police deaths.
Oh shit.
Yeah, per capita it's blacks, but even them, the unarmed people, unarmed blacks, it's only 2%. So the
Mm.
whole unarmed narrative, people are getting shot by cops because you're black or because you're Latino, it's just not true. I mean, there's always something that plays a role. Usually there's a weapon, right? Not always a gun, but and again, let's for real, bro. Like you said, I mean, we get pulled over, we usually take it personally, right? And we start going at it
Mhm.
with them, and usually it doesn't end up good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now
So
let me play devil's advocate, bro.
yeah, go ahead.
Now you mentioned there's 2%, right?
Yeah,
But
for blacks, yeah. For
for
us, it's
blacks,
one
yeah,
percent.
one
Yeah,
percent.
yeah.
But to me, it matters a lot where. See, if it's concentrated
Uh-huh.
within like the close proximity of a certain area, and
Uh-huh.
that's where it's mainly happening, then it's a problem of that area. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
yes,
you're talking about the whole nation, right?
yes,
That's what you're talking about. Okay,
yeah.
so we gotta find out exactly where, pinpoint more or less, if there's a correlation between all the shootings or all the deaths. What if it's close proximity? Then that's a fucking issue.
No, and I have that. I have those stats too. Right? I'll give them to you in
Oh,
a
okay.
minute. Yeah. So when it comes to like who attacks who, right? So in
Mm,
2018, the whites on Hispanic crime, uh, 28%,
mm.
right? Hispanic on Hispanic crime, 45.4%.
Ande, way.
So we're
Fuck, we're
killing
taking ourselves
ourselves,
out.
yeah, more than the whites are taking
Man,
us out.
that's all bad.
Yeah, bro. So that narrative too that whites are out to get us, it's just not true, bro. The stats are just not adding up, right?
See, so all you people saying that Whitey's out to get you,
it's
like, you know
not
what I mean?
it's not true, right?
It's more like Brownie's out to get you.
Exactly, right. And like
Fuck.
and we have to talk about why. I mean, like why is that the case, right? I mean,
Mm,
one is, well, when you live usually Latinos live with other Latinos, so it's gonna be obvious that we're gonna be in contact with each other more, so we're gonna be probably hurting each other more, right? That's one of the
mm,
factors. Two is the whole gang issues, right? Uh, just people just not getting along. Uh, so that also plays another factor, right? You talked about liquor. Liquor plays a huge role, bro. I mean, if you're
oh yeah.
drinking,
Fuck yeah.
you know what I
They're
mean?
called spirits for a reason.
There you go, right? And then you mentioned you know, the regions, right? So again,
Oh yeah.
going back to LA, right? We make up 49% of the population here in LA, Latinos, right? And 39, 39% of violent crimes is committed by Latinos.
Fuck.
So pretty much most of it, right? Almost half of it is committed by us in a place that's mainly Latino. So if
Dang.
that makes any sense. So you know what I mean? So what's causing that? What's causing us to and again, these are not your typical, hey, let me go rob some. These are fucking violent crimes, like things that are,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people are dying, people are getting raped, people are fucking getting assaulted with a gun, you know, with a
Mm-hmm.
knife, whatever. Like, why are we doing that? What's causing that? What do you think?
Damn. So that's the $1 million question, bro.
Yeah.
That's that same answer that would answer how we can unite as a people. And that's just gonna go on for, I mean, I don't know, bro. Like I've been trying to talk to a lot of people, talk to a lot of platforms and stuff. And one of actually just yesterday, after I had that live with Ernesto Ayala about the whole Chavez thing, one of my homies that I haven't talked to for a while, um, he called me, and he became a life coach.
Okay.
And I'm like, you know what? People like yourself need to have platforms where you can talk about empowerment, and talk about how to, I mean, to unite. That's kind of a, what I mean, loose term to just throw out there and just be like, yeah, let's just unite. But what is unite? What consists of this unite? You know what I mean? That's just a simple term for a big grand fucking question. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but I think it starts with us as people with platforms
Hmm.
to try to have a circle that of people that we trust, or people that can build that trust and make sure that we're at least between us putting out good empowering content that can change a few heads here and there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
And
agree.
that's just a start. That's just a start, because it takes more than just, like, what I mean, presence on social media, presence on what I mean, through platforms. It takes more than that. It takes reaching out to the community too, and understanding, because within Latinos there are different cultures and traditions within
Yeah.
just Latinos, like in general. You know what I mean? There's I mean, shit. There's a bunch of different, like, peoples. We have different, like, cultures and shit. Like we don't. I bet a lot of those crimes was committed by people that, you know what I mean, that like the
Yeah.
Triquis, and just indigenous people that live in America with us. And a lot of those crimes were by people that we are so disconnected with, but they
Exactly.
they include them with us because
Exactly.
they're, you know what I mean, it's the same fucking, we come from the same place basically.
I was watching this video that was talking about BLM, right? How um, it was this guy, this black guy who was talking about that BLM doesn't really care about uh, black people, right? And that's a very, like, controversial topic, obviously, right? Even to say that. And one of the things he mentioned was that in the neighborhoods, right, in black neighborhoods, and you could probably even say this about Latino neighborhoods, is that you have urban terrorists, right? People who terrorize the neighborhoods, right? And these people are the ones who make it impossible to have a community because they're fucking shit up, right? And like you mentioned, they really don't have a connection to the community. They don't give a shit about the community. They don't want to make it better. They just want to make a quick buck, slang drugs, whatever it is, you know, fucking murder motherfuckers, whatever they do and shit. And these are the people that are really fucking up the neighborhoods. And that's why, because of them, we're getting police more, right? Because if you look at that, if you look at the population, right? For example, 49%. It's not 49% of the people who are committing crimes. Probably like 2 or 3% of the people from that 49%
Mm.
who is committing all these crimes, right? And what bothers me the most, especially when we talk about policing, right, is that we'll march, against police brutality, right? Well, we don't march with motherfuckers blast fools on the street. Why
Mm.
don't we do that? And we know who it is. A lot of times we know who it is, but it's that, oh, I didn't see shit, I didn't hear anything, right? I'm
Mm.
not gonna get involved. That's not my problem, right? And that to me is really the problem in our neighborhoods. If we got rid of these fools, then we wouldn't be police as much because the crime rate would go down. At the end of the day, we get police more because we have more crime in our neighborhoods. And until we get that lower down, I think we're still gonna be policed highly, right? We're still gonna have these altercations with people where they don't get along with the cops, and the rhetoric of, oh, the cops are bad, they're attacking us. If you teach that to our youth, right, and they have a bad experience with the cop, guess what? FTP, right? Fuck the cops.
Mm-hmm.
That cycle continues, right? We have to teach people that the cops are there not necessarily to protect us, right, but to do a job, right, to stop crime. Whether they do it or not, that's a different story, right? You have,
Mm-hmm.
again, people who just get into it just to have a job, right? But you also have fools that are from the community and want to help it out. You have those people too, right? I think for me, what I see is that what happens is that when you have a young fool, right, you get with the veteran, right, a veteran cop, and then you get this over and over of people just saying, fuck the cops, fuck the cops, fuck the cops. You become that fucking asshole cop, and then you go and harass a fucking kid that has nothing to do with the crime or whatever, that he has that issue with the cops, and it goes on over and over and over. But somebody's gotta have to stop that shit. Somebody's gotta say,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Like, nah, man. Like, you have to be the person that says, you know what? Not all cops are fucked up, right? And the same thing with the cops. You know what I mean? Every time you pull somebody over, I understand that your job is dangerous, but if you come at somebody with fucking attitude, right? You don't know what that person went through, so it doesn't help the situation, right? So, and one thing too that bugs me a lot, and this is a very popular thing too, is the whole defunding the police, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, the police, like, needs to get defunded because they're racist, whatever. But I mean, that happened over. I don't know if it happened up there, but they already did that over here, and they defunded the departments that we need the most helping. They defunded the departments that deal with rape, that deal with
Mm-hmm.
violent crime, right? So
But
essentially, what's going to happen is we're going to have more issues, right, in our neighborhoods because these people that are supposed to, attack these problems are not going to be available, right? And fucking criminals don't give a shit if there's cops or not. They're gonna do what they're gonna do.
why did it start there? Why with the
You know what it is, and I think it's because it was to teach people a lesson. To be honest, okay, you want to defund the cops. You think that you don't need us? Well, here we go, because they know our issues. They know where we need the most help in, right?
so the people couldn't decide
No,
what department within the
no,
no,
no.
that
They
they
just said,
had to do it themselves.
yeah, they just said defund the cops, and okay, well, Garcetti gave in
Oh
and said, you know
shit.
what, because they were putting pressure on him. They went to his fucking house,
Mm. Oh
to the
shit.
mayor, like, hey, you need to fucking, take care of shit, But
Wow.
yeah, man. And another thing too is that a lot of crimes don't get solved because people don't speak up. When there's a witness, they don't want to talk about it because they're afraid of
Mm.
retaliation from the neighborhood. Again, why
Mm-hmm.
don't we hold those people accountable? Why can we fucking, you know, if we want to have a community where people feel safe, we have to fucking, take these fools down and collaborate with cops, right? So they can actually help us out and not fucking be our enemies. You know what I mean? That's my thoughts
Mm.
on that, bro.
Yeah, I want to go into. I don't want to segue too much, but something with the last thing you said about teaming up to help the cops.
Yeah.
Yes and no, bro. Because a lot of the times I've seen that the information that we give them puts the person talking about it in a bad predicament where he's in danger of getting retaliated against
Yeah.
because of that,
Yeah.
and the cops don't do a damn thing to protect that person, even though they say, yeah, we'll have someone by your house and making sure that everything's okay, but they're not. Come on, let's be straight up. Like, they're not going to be with that person 24/7 to
Yeah.
make sure that they're protected. No, they don't give a fuck about that. If they get blasted, they get blasted. You know what I mean? The cops just want the information sometimes, but sometimes, yes, it can work for the benefit for the people when someone speaks up about it. Like when a kid gets shot,
Yeah.
gets shot because of gang violence.
Yeah.
Yeah, to speak up. What the fuck? It was this motherfucker over here.
Yeah.
Get that motherfucker right
Yeah.
now. A kid
Yeah.
fucking got shot. Fuck that. You know what I mean? For that type of situation, even within gangs, a dude will get fucking stabbed or some shit because of they missed and they
Some
hit
shit
a
like
kid.
that.
Yeah. So that gets handled, or at least within the honorable fucking gangs and shit that they really, give a fuck about, like children and shit. But I don't want to segue too much, but with the whole BLM thing, bro,
Yeah.
like I don't know if you know this, but like with AIDS and shit, that shit's patented. Did you know that?
What is it?
AIDS is patented. Like they have a patent for for AIDS. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's some dude that basically like they made AIDS, and someone has a stamp. Basically, you know when you patent a company like Nike,
Yeah.
someone has some. So basically, whenever someone does something in relation to Nike, someone puts something out in the market as Nike, the owners of Nike can charge that dude or take him to court and say, nah, pay me this amount, because you use Nike to sign or whatever. The same thing with AIDS. They were trying to they were trying to say that basically the people that gotten AIDS like owe money for having AIDS in your system.
The
And
fuck?
because yes, I haven't really searched too much into it, but I was looking into there was a dude that was speaking a lot about this. You know what? I'll put that info if I find it, bro.
Yeah,
But
yeah, for sure.
so with that same you know what I mean mindset, the BLM, does someone if someone has someone copyrighted or patent that idea of BLM? Because if so, how much money are they making from all these different corporations that have been using BLM?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I didn't even know about that, but I do know that to me when I knew that because there's BLM the movement and there's BLM the organization, right? So for me, when I knew that this shit was kind of fishy was when all these fucking companies started to say BLM, right? Because no way in hell is a fucking company really gonna give a shit about BLM unless they're fucking making some kind of profit out of it,
Mm-hmm.
or know that hey, if I say BLM, I'm gonna get more black people to come and shop in my
Mm-hmm.
place, right? For example, the NFL, right? The NFL with the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, right? Where they weren't allowing him to kneel, whatever, that was a big issue. And then last year, everybody had end racism on their fucking on their helmets or Black Lives Matter, right? You had all these slogans that weren't allowed 4 or 5 years ago. So there is some kind of uh, payout when it comes to this. So that's when I knew that this shit was fishy. You know what I mean? So uh, yeah, man, that's a whole different issue that
Yeah.
we can get into. But obviously, like just even speaking about that, uh, it's kind of controversial, because obviously we're not black. So like
Yeah.
it's gonna be like, well, like how can you speak on that? And but I mean, from my understanding of the movement, and just from seeing it and just hearing what another black person had to say about it, because he said too that is that before black and white people have this conversation, it should be black and black people who have it, right? Uh, that think differently about it, right? But like I said, I don't want to segue, to get you know separated from what we were talking about. Just I wanted to bring that
Yeah.
up because I feel like that was relevant to us too.
Mm.
Like when it comes to because it deals with policing, so yeah.
Yeah. And also I wanted to go into the fact that because you mentioned how are we going to change the way we look at cops, and how are we going to change for them not to be stereotyping us and prejudging us just based on looks or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, how we got to ask ourselves, how do they come up with the ideology to look at the people a certain way? Well, let's look at how do they get trained? How do police officers get trained? And
Everyone's a
what is the
threat.
criteria? Yeah, what is the
Yeah.
criteria for an officer to become an officer? All you need is a fucking diploma, high school diploma. You don't need no fucking degree.
I agree.
And it's like, what are we saying? Come on, like if we think about professions and like doctor that plays a part in the life or death of someone,
Yep.
a police officer has the same ability of life or death.
Yep.
He can potentially say this person is living right now or he's dying, and I can get away with it because I'm a police officer. So it's like giving a certain person. I mean, come on, how many years of schooling does a doctor need to go and do? Fucking a shitload of years, bro. Not only that, but he used to do.
And you got to be picked too to be it.
Yeah, there we go.
Even if you study, you still have to be picked to be, a
And
doctor.
that's what I'm saying. See, and the same type of power we're giving a doctor, the same type of power we're giving a police officer with no fucking experience, but what, like 9 months of whatever the fuck they go through. Uh,
I agree.
and on the actual textbook, because I read some of it, they have that shit online, like a PDF format of it. and a lot of the I skimmed through it, and I read most of what was on, how do you detect, or how to know if someone, to stop someone, or what to look at. And they straight up says right there, like on some ignorant shit, if they're wearing a hoodie, then that's a potential risk. If they're
It's profiling.
what was to say, if they have their hands in their pockets, that's a potential risk. So anyone can be hands in their pocket, and the cop can be like, oh, that's a risk. That's a risk right there. Let me go get him. Like, it's not. I don't know. It's like,
I
it
hear
doesn't
what you're
seem
saying.
like they put enough thought into a textbook that could potentially end someone's life.
I hear what you're saying, and I think that's the difference between defunding the police and having police reform. So I think a lot of people who become police too are probably people who got bullied in high school or whatever,
Mm.
and they kind of want revenge on fucking on people, just
Yeah.
to a lot of people should not be cops because it is a very difficult job, and they should make it difficult to become a cop,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Should have all
Mm-hmm.
these tests. You should have you know, and I think especially if you're going to be patrolling a specific neighborhood, you should at least know about it. You should at least know about the
Mm.
history of it, just so you know what you're getting yourself into. Because if you don't do that, then you're gonna have, especially if you're not of color, right? I think you're gonna have a lot of issues with you're gonna be in culture shock, right? If you come from the
Mm-hmm.
from the Midwest and you want to be a this hero cop or whatever, you're gonna be dealing with some shit that you're not gonna be used to.
Mm-hmm.
So that might affect your psyche. That might affect your attitude. And if you're not a racist, that might make you a racist. You know what I mean? That might make you somebody who just doesn't want to be around blacks or Latinos. So
That's
I
true.
definitely agree with you on that.
You
Right?
know, another thing, bro. A lot of these cops come from military background,
That's true.
so we're trusting someone that can, like, quickly kill someone, like, immediately when the time is given. You know what I mean? And what if this military dude, you know what I mean? He just, all he knows is by force. All he knows is how to violently take someone down, or how to quickly take someone down with force. So he's already trained to do that. But what if this person is not even that much educated about, just about social matters, about,
Yeah.
things that have to do with understanding people, about psychological,
Yeah.
issues that some people may have. What if this person doesn't know any of that, never studied any of that, so all he thinks is just, it's just like, you know what I mean? There's no in between the line for him, for this person. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's happened before, where people with disabilities, with mental disabilities, they actually get, like, they
The
get
best.
mistreated, they get shot at, they get, minimally tased and shit like that, because they're acting so erratically, or just they don't logically think things through, especially being in the spot of being under pressure, where the cops yelling at you and this and this and that. Come on, bro, with the mental disability, they'll flip out. And
Yeah.
cops, they should know better than that. Like, on some human level, not even talking about having a badge, just on some human level. Like, I mean, I can tell with whether someone's, like, either intoxicated or have some kind of mental illness. Like, you can tell, because someone that's like intoxicated, you know what I mean? You can see it in their eyes, you can see it in their slur. Sometimes with disabilities, you know what I mean? The signs aren't always there, bro. So it's like, I don't know, bro. It's like, it's on some human level. They should know better.
I think
Even more with the power that goes with it, man.
I agree with you in a sense because I think again, I going back to what I said earlier, they should be trained better before they become a cop, or they should have rigorous training or just rigorous,
Mm.
uh, you know, criteria to it to become one. Because, like you said, like you have the power to take somebody's life away. But I think again, if you continue to deal with people who are not going to be listening to your commands or whatever, and if you have all of these, if you add the military training to it, if you add the high school bullying to it, all of these other factors, you know, eventually you're just a human being at the end of the day, bro. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're not really you're not a god. You're not. We kind of expect cops to be perfect and to always, like be able to use their best judgment. But again, this is where I have compassion for them because if you go out to work and again, motherfuckers are just giving you lip, or just fools are just fucking not you know, listening to you, whatever. In some cases, even attacking you, right? At the end of the day, you're gonna go into autopilot mode, and you're just gonna do your job, you know. So it's a very complex situation, you know. I think, like I said, I mean, just to to end it with, not to end the episode, but to end the whole policing thing, you know, like I think we should be better, but they should also be better. You know what I mean? And I think we both did that. This whole narrative, you know, definitely the whole narrative that cops are out to get us needs to fucking stop, because that is
Hmm.
not helping the situation. And us, you know, saying fuck the cops is not helping the situation. And then profiling people who have hands in their pockets is not helping the situation. So a lot of things need to change for us to have a better relationship with the
Yeah.
cops, and just overall, just for our communities to be able to live freely, you know, without police brutality, right?
Yeah, I think instead of defunding the cops, let's do like you said, like you know what I mean, like let's put
Reform. Yeah.
another bar of you know what I mean of standard for them that they have to reach a certain level of college at least, you know what I mean, something at least associates, fuck at least.
Yeah. So one of the arguments that people have used when it comes to, you know, you kind of mentioned earlier too with mass shootings, right? That we have a gun problem, right? That that we should control guns or have gun control, right? And I think when I was younger, you know, I was definitely kind of with that, because you know, you again, you see the narrative that, you know, mass shooting, whatever, mass shooting here, uh, and what the studies have shown is that states that have, you know, concealed carry laws, they have little to no effect on the violence when it comes, you know, when it comes to crime in the U.S. Right?
Hmm.
So if you are a shooter, a mass shooter, you're not going to give a shit if there's a law that says you can't carry an assault rifle. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So and this might be controversial, or this might, you know, be taken the wrong way, right? The wrong way, sorry. Um, but if you have more gun control, you're actually, you know, and based on the studies, it's not really helping the situation, because, like I said, someone's gonna come in with a gun. If nobody around you has a gun, like as you see in most of these shootings, people who get killed like that, nobody has a gun, so nobody can defend themselves, right? So,
Hmm.
so the argument that we have too many guns and that's what's causing the, you know, the violent crime, that's not the case. Like,
Hmm.
you know, here in California, we have ridiculous, you know, uh, gun laws. I mean, like, you have to have all these permits just to carry a gun, right? If you go to if you go to Texas, you can go to the park. You can have a rifle out there, and like whatever, you know, like and it's a huge difference in culture, right? But yeah, you still have either very similar, you know, incidents, or even less incidents like that. I saw a video of a guy at a church who was trying to shoot up a church, but the
Hmm.
security guard had a gun, and that fool just fucking took him out. You know, that fool could have killed easily a bunch of people in that church, but because that guy had a gun, the security guard, whatever, he was able to put him out. So it's not so much the guns; it's the people who have access to these guns, and just, you know, like, even if you ban guns, motherfuckers are gonna come and stab you. Like, if you look at
Hmm.
China, that's what people are doing. Like, people just fucking go and stab you if they don't like you. Just, you know what I mean? Like, so that, I understand the intention behind, you know, banning guns or just, you know, having gun control, but that's not gonna help the situation. What are your thoughts on that?
Hmm. I don't know how much truth there is to this, bro, but I was hearing that Biden was trying to make this law that people that had a permit to carry that can only carry a certain type of gun,
Yeah.
a type of gun that cops can deactivate.
Fuck.
Hmm. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but I was hearing like a few platforms were talking about that. That let's not get Biden, elected and whatever because of that.
I
He was
wouldn't
trying
doubt
to
it.
that he was going to push that agenda, but overall, bro, you make a good, a good case with saying that whether there's guns or not, if people want to harm someone, they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
What with their fucking bare hands, if anything.
They're
You know
fucking
what I
cars
mean?
too.
That's all it takes, bro.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just the intent of what people really, what I mean, they're gonna get it done no matter what. So guns is like it's kind of you know how they say guns don't kill people, people kill
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
But that's I mean that could be said for a lot of things. I mean that's
True.
just but overall guns. I mean it's a type of thing where you got to really assess the situation and think about when are you. I mean you got to think about where you live. Has there been a lot of crime in your area lately? And what I mean it's I mean for gangsters, bro. I mean they don't have to worry about permits and shit.
Oh,
So,
no. That's what
you
I'm
know what I
saying.
mean? That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying. Like, but like for people that what I mean, want to do it the legit way and all that, like at this point, I'm scared of having a gun in my house
yeah,
with kids and shit. Even
yeah.
if I
Well,
get
yeah, yeah.
even if I get a safe and all that, what I mean, all that. Like, I'm scared that somehow, some way, they'll fucking figure it out and open it anyway. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess I just fear a lot of what can happen and shit. But
understandable.
um, it's just guns, man. It's a touchy subject because especially in other type of country, I mean states where they is more it's more okay for a lot of people. Like it's acceptable.
Yep.
Oh, and over here in California, there's a lot of places where like nah, like you have a gun for real? You have a gun? It's like
Yeah,
people still trip out on it.
yeah,
Like
right. Yeah,
shit, you have a gun for real? Like you know what I mean? But so it's for us Californians it's a it's more of a touchy subject because it's not really that acceptable as you can say. You know what I mean?
yeah. And I think that's part of because it's mainly a liberal state, or
Liberal state, yeah.
yeah. And what's really interesting is a lot of these we have a lot of these you know gun laws. They're mainly democratic states, and the ones that
Mm-hmm.
don't are usually Republican, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you knew this, but back in the day, like we didn't have these strict gun laws. It wasn't up until the Brown Berets and the Panthers, because they used to carry guns in the neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until you know people in government saw that they were the ones patrolling the cops, right? And they noticed that they were basically uh, that a gun is a lot of power, bro. Like if you have a gun in your hand, I mean, like, and you can carry it, then that changes how cops, you know, obviously, in some cases that's life or death, right? And that's why a concealed weapon is actually more dangerous than an open carry, right? Because if you can see the gun, then okay, well, if you let's say if you get pulled over in Texas, do you have a gun? Yeah, it's right there. You know what I mean? Like as opposed to, do you have a gun? Oh, wait, let me check. Boom, you got blasted, right? That's what happened to I forgot what that one guy who was with his wife and his
Oh, in
mom.
the car? In the
Yeah,
car? Yeah.
right. The guy tripped out and shot him, right? So like you have that situation too. So uh, yeah, man, it's a very touchy subject. I remember when this whole COVID thing started happening. Uh, I told my wife, I was like, "Yo, I think I'm gonna get a gun," and she's like, "No, what the hell? Like, why do you want a gun?" I was like, "I don't know, man. This whole thing just seems kind of fishy to me. You know what I mean? Like, just the way shit is going down, the government shutting down everything. Like, so I got the next best thing. I got a BB gun. So
Mm-hmm.
we got a fucking I don't know where you live, but where I live, like we get fucking raccoons
Oh, it's all right.
and coyotes and skunks and all kinds of shit here. So like I'm like at least like if they ever get crazy and shit, I'm fucking using it. I mean I never will, but I was fucking around with her, like. But yeah, man, like I thought about it too because I mean like this whole thing was just to me just seemed very fishy, But
Over here we got a lot of cuz. A lot of cuz.
a lot of taquachas on.
A lot of taquacha, a lot of every time I see a what up, cuz?
Yeah. We got something too. We got something too. Yeah. Yeah, man. All right, man. So anything else you wanted to mention before we close it out today? I know it's kind of early
Yeah,
for you,
yeah.
but
I mean, shit, bro. Overall, policing in the barrios. Historically, what have we learned about our people dealing with police? Historically, we've learned that overall, we kind of suck as a people, bro. To not unite, to see the numbers being that high in crime, and we're the ones complaining that cops are fucking us up.
it's sad.
Like that's come on, you know what I mean? Like to really see the because numbers don't lie,
I
bro.
know.
Like numbers don't lie. Like if it's right there in fucking in ink, it's like you know we're fucking up, bro. We're fucking
Yeah.
up to have been for years saying like, nah, it's because the system is, but in reality, we're fucking ourselves up, bro. We're fucking ourselves up, and we can't seem to find a balance with our people. We can't seem to find what it takes to get close and unite in many different aspects. I mean, we all have differences, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if it's the same race, even if it is the same, even if it's just Mexicans, even if it's just Mexican Americans, just Chicanos, even within just Chicanos, bro, we have a lot of differences
Yeah.
based on where
Even
we
in
grew up,
families.
even yeah, even closer to us, yeah, your families, just based on how we, within families is like, if I had different friends that thought differently, so they influenced me differently, you know what I mean? So it's based on our surroundings and environment, all that shit. But given that information, that still gives no reason to why we can't come together and understand each other, or at least agree to disagree, and just get along in some kind of fucking form. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
49% of crime is violent crime against us. It's some fucking
Each
bullshit,
other.
bro. It's some fucking bullshit, bro. And to still be like, fuck the police. Oh, let me kill this fucking Chicano over here real quick.
Exactly
But
right.
fuck the police anyways. Like, what the fuck? Oh man.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, like, I think I think activists and organizers, I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to create a community in our communities. So I get that, right? And I think cops, maybe some of them are trying to do that too. But for the most part, they have a job, stop crime. We're trying to, you're never really going to stop crime, and you're going to,
Mhm.
have or try at least try to attempt to stop it, right? But I think where both of us are, I think both of us are on that same page where we want to create communities in our communities. How we're approaching it is not working. The way we're doing it is not working. So, like I said, we have to look at what we have in common to be able to tackle that problem. And sometimes it means looking in the mirror and say, you know what, well, if we're the ones fucking this up, then we got to change that. It's
Mhm.
not our race, it's not a racial thing. It's more of a cultural thing.
Mhm.
It's what you value, right? Because even in your own family, like you said, you can value certain things, right? You can be Chicano, you can be Mexican, whatever, Latino, but maybe your family values education, and
Mhm.
somebody's family values fucking going out and gangbanging and shit. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like, those are the differences between somebody who's going to get into trouble and somebody who's not going to get into trouble, right? So it starts at home, you know. And if we could bring those values out to the rest of the community, and I think a lot of times we don't, because if you speak on this and you say, well, I have a solution, we're like, well, ¿qué te crees tú qué? You know what I mean? Like, you think of this shit, like you
Mhm.
think you know better than everybody else, and
Hey,
this
bro,
is
that's what I was thinking about last time. That's why I mentioned. I forgot who I mentioned it to. That we were talking about like, why is it so hard to unite, like, Mexican or just Latino Americans with like, immigrants, because there's a big division, a big gap in between that one or the other is like, well, what makes you more genuine, more authentic? What makes you more, going back and forth and stuff, but it's like that whole what you just said, bro. Would you just like someone that wants to step up wants to do it from the heart, but other people will be like, well, who the fuck are you? Like, sit your ass down, like, you know what
shut
I
the
mean?
fuck
Like,
up.
and it's like, well, what the fuck? Like, whenever someone stands up, we're gonna just bring them back down. Like that's why we're in this fucking place. That's why we're all fucked up.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, for me, I would have to say is that we have to, like you said, have these conversations with people, in our
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in our neighborhood, because I grew up seeing this shit. I'm sure you did too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure a lot of people who are gonna listen to this saw this shit too in their neighborhood, right? We have to, if we have to hold those urban terrorists in our neighborhood accountable,
Mm-hmm.
we have to call them out, because if we can do that, we don't need the cops in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
But until we do that, they're gonna keep coming over, and the sad part is they're gonna harass the people that have nothing to do with it, and the motherfuckers who are doing it are gonna keep getting away with it, and they're just gonna fucking use the youngsters to put in that work to to do the dirty work and shit. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And people get caught up. So Yeah, man, I think that's to me that's easier said than done, obviously, but
Yeah.
just having these conversations and really like looking into it because it's not about who's right or wrong. It's about solving the problem for me.
Hmm.
You know.
One other thing that I wanted to add before we break out is that a lot of us raza got brainwashed in
Hmm.
some kind of form or another. So if we're able to, you know, to get brainwashed to begin with, then we're able to brainwash ourselves back to another state that can
Unlearn.
benefit us. Unlearn it, yeah,
Yep.
into a state that we can actually benefit
Exactly.
us. You know, so people that are like, nah, but some people are just so brainwashed that there's no turning back. But I'm like, there's, you know, you can reverse shit. Like, you know, just the same way that you believe they got brainwashed, do it, but in the aspect of, you know, of some positive shit, and you know, to help, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, man. And that's I think that's a good segue for next week's episode.
Hmm.
You know, that's going to be it's called
Ooh,
Rasa and Black Relations. You know, and
I
that's
got some
very
fucking good. I got some good
I
coverage for
know
that shit.
I
I
know
got some.
you've been going in on that, you know, and you've been very vocal about that, and I think you're gonna have a lot to say, you know, with that, and I think if you're not gonna listen to any of these episodes, I think that's one you definitely have to listen to because
Hmm.
you know the current situation with our street vendors, you know, and other stuff. But of course, I'm gonna get into the history of that, and you're gonna speak on that. But yeah, man, I'm gonna try to I'm definitely gonna try to push this to my black homies, you know, so they can see that one too and so we
Hmm.
can have that conversation, you know. But I have my own 2 cents about that too. I mean, I don't want to get too much into it right now, but I know that you've been really passionate about it. You've been, you know, going out there, even creating your own fucking, you know, posters, you know, saying, hey, this is Obama. This is I was like, oh shit. At first when I saw them, I was like, damn, like, is that really they really speak out? And I was
Did it
like,
look
nah,
realistic? Did it look realistic? All right,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So hopefully they got to see him, you know.
uh,
But yeah, man,
yeah.
that's what we're gonna be talking about next week. But before we head out, any shout outs to anybody?
Oh yeah, just anyone that's fucking with that new movement of the raza, you know what I mean? That real passionate shit that a lot I've been talking to a lot of people like the homie Louis with Sin Manchas. You know, he's a very innovative person that can bring about a lot of change with our people. You know, the homie Marco with Carnalismo clothing brand, he keeps, you know, that plática going with La Raza. His, you know, a close homie of his that he introduced me to, he goes by Fainer Lokes on Instagram. He's a very intelligent person. You know, pushing that Raza agenda, the pro Raza agenda. To all the artists, the hip hop artists, that I see, that are putting that brown empowerment in their music. To all of them, you know, we just keep up that fuerza, um, and just basically anyone and everyone that wants to see us prosper. I want to encourage you to come out and have a voice. Oh, I mean, you have a voice. Just push that. Be vocal
Yes.
about what you believe in, which is how to how to how to, you know, destroy this false persona that we had built about ourselves, and build this new renewed sense of self, that we, you know, of the love of the cultura, the love of our people, and really push that agenda, you know, because every people has their agenda, which is a
That's right.
good or a bad one. Let's have our agenda of just building, not destroying, you know what I mean?
That's
So
right.
yeah.
Yeah, man. For me, shout outs to anybody who's listened to all 4 podcast episodes. I mean, people again are just leaving me DMs and just saying, you know what, great job, keep it up. Really appreciate. Even if you don't agree with me, let me know, man. Let us know. Hey, you know, I don't agree with what you said. Uh, you know, I feel this way. Contribute to the conversation because I want to display, you know, and I know you talked about this too, that we can have conversations where we don't agree, you know, but we still have, you know, our agenda is still to get, you know, improve things for the raza, right? Improve things for Latinos, right? Whatever you want to call yourself. Uh, because at the end of the day, you know, we only got ourselves, you know what I mean? And we need that. We need those dialogues
Hmm.
with people that we don't agree with because they might see things that we don't. They might give us perspective that we don't see, right? So on that note, there's two podcasts or two people that I follow, and I don't know if you follow them, right? It's one is Chingo Bling. It's called
Mm.
Red Pill Tamales. I know he used to be involved in the rap game, Chicano rap, but now he's got his own podcast. I think you should definitely check it out. He's bringing a lot of you know uh, really good points of view on our people too. Also, another person that goes by Inform with Anthony. Uh,
Mm.
I know him through a homie and shit. They used to have their own little podcast just like us, but this dude is blowing up. He's actually he's going to the border right now and just actually documenting and talking to people at the border as to why they're coming over. So
Oh
he's
shit.
out there, because we're not getting a lot of media coverage when it comes to that, right? But there's a lot of shit that's going on. He's putting himself out there, bro, and like just documenting the shit for himself. So, um,
Wow.
yeah, man, you should. He's definitely we're following him on the Rasa Stan podcast IG, but he's always posting stories and shit. But he's out there, man. And then also, uh, this shirt right here, it's from a mentor, former producer. Uh, I used to work with. His name is he goes by Rays.
Mm.
IamRays.com. This is the website. Check it out. Dope music, great artist. Just speaks his mind. Like I say, he's my mentor. He still, you know, uh, lets me know. He keeps it real, bro. Like he's the kind of person that's gonna let you know, hey, you're fucking up, or keep it up. So I definitely fuck with people like that can hold me accountable and also lift me up. Hence the term raise, right? So
Mm.
yeah, man, check it out. IamRaise.com. Check out his music. You're not gonna be disappointed. Buy the merch. He sells hats, everything. Uh, and yeah, man, like I said, anybody who's listening to the podcast, and go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and check us out on Spotify if you want to. I know sometimes
Mhm.
putting on the YouTube, it's kind of hard when you're driving or whatever and shit. But yeah, man,
I
just
put that up, that new
I
link
saw that.
on
I saw that.
Instagram.
I
So
saw
so
that.
that takes you to all the stuff that we have. You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
Right. And you could also follow us on our own personal pages. Just don't
Mm.
harass us if you don't agree with us, please. Yeah, but also I want to shout you out because I was actually checking out your hip hop podcast, and dude, like
Oh
you
yeah? Yeah,
you
yeah,
fucking you got down, like you actually got in contact with a lot of artists that I grew up listening
yeah.
to, and I was like,
Oh yeah.
and just the way you converse with them, it was like you knew them for years. I don't know how the fuck you did that, but my respect for that because
I appreciate that,
like,
man.
but because they actually took their time and actually talked to you, and like, and it was
Hmm.
genuine. So I really respect your hustle and the ability to do that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
man,
man,
I appreciate that,
it
man.
just made me think about more like how like you actually gave your time to work with me, because the idea, that when I brought it up, like I said, you were like, man, let's do it. So the fact that you went out and talked to those people and now I'm talking to you makes me feel big, man.
Man.
So yeah, man.
Man, I mean,
Uh,
all this is for a good cause, bro. All this is for a good cause, you know what I mean? And it's like I said, bro, this is my agenda. This is the as controversial as it may sound, this is the my brown agenda, bro.
that's right.
You know, and I'm looking forward to bringing some guests in, bro.
Yeah,
I really am. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So we still haven't discussed how many episodes we're gonna have for episode one. I mean, it's a season for how many episodes for season one.
yeah.
But it's coming close to
To the
to
end.
kind of to the end of
Yeah,
more or less.
yeah,
So I'm looking forward to that, bro.
yeah. When we get to that, I already have an idea. We'll talk about it offline. But when we get to that, uh, it's going to be easier in the sense that we're going to try to get a lot more people in here because I know that
Mm,
again, if you want to engage with the Rasa Stan podcast IG and the Facebook, I know that Brown gets on the live a lot. I'm gonna try to get on it too. I'm
mhm.
kind of slacking on that, but I know he's on it a lot. And so yeah, if you want to get on it and just even if you want to discuss one of the episodes, or if you have a specific point of view that you want to really talk about, get on it, man. Just like hit him up and say, you know what, I want to talk about this. And I
Mhm.
think during the week, I think it's a good idea to do that, just to get on it,
Yeah.
and just chop it up and because I know people have things to say, and and it's kind of hard to get on
Yeah.
here because time and people got families, people got kids,
Mhm. Yeah.
people go to work. So it's another way to communicate with them. So thank you for doing that, man, because it's bringing the conversation to life.
Yeah, it is, man.
Yeah,
It is very necessary.
that's
All
right.
right, man. Hey,
All right. So on that
to the
note,
end of Yeah, for the end of episode 5, here we are, and we just finished talking about the whole policing in the barrios. It was fucking very, very interesting conversation about policing in the barrios.
Always.
And like always, the homie Flo will, add the whole, sightings of
Always.
all this stuff that we talked about. So giving us more credibility and, basically putting that truth out there. Numbers don't lie, facts don't lie. And if you feel a certain way, hit us up on Instagram.
That's right. All right. Trust the Stand podcast. Take a stand to understand. All right.
Yeah.
Peace out, people.
Peace.